schedule crucial and take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it sold. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, to Cowboy Game Day Live, Week 17. Cowboys, Eagles, Jesse Holley, Skywalker still. Once again,
yes, sir.
Couple more of these. Yeah. Couple more of these, man. And look, it's a different type of game. We've been talking about this a little bit. The Cowboys can never have a consistent quarterback rivalry with the Eagles because we're getting a Kenny Pickett versus Cooper Rush.
Kenny Two Gloves.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about a market. No, talk about a backup matchup is what we're getting. But for both teams, you could say kind of an important game, right? Eagles, it's an important game because they're trying to lock up the first seed. For the Cowboys, these players and this coach, it's important for them to kind of ride out this season on a potential winning streak, which I'm not going to lie to you, before all this weirdness started to happen, I didn't think they'd have had a shot these last couple of weeks. But you get some injury luck to go your favor after getting it to go against you for weeks. You're going up against a backup who didn't particularly play that well last week, and they got a shot, Jesse, if they can bring over some of that momentum from the last month. But it's not going to be easy because a specific person is not going to be here with us.
Yeah. I'll let you talk more about him, but to the point, the Cowboys have been kind of the last couple of weeks never say die, right? Trying to keep the momentum, and you see a lot of guys on this football team who have some things to play for, whether that be contracts or future deals or putting out good tape and not really wanting to go out there and lay down and die. But when you look at this rivalry, you look at the division rivalry, Philadelphia, Cowboys versus Philadelphia. I always used to say, throw everything out of the window. That's when you got two quarterbacks that actually starting. Right. But the Cowboys have a really have an uphill battle this week because you're taking on arguably top 2-3 team in the National Football League right now in Philadelphia. You know that their offensive line, one of the best offensive line, the best offensive line according to PFF in the league, and then their defense is the number 1 defense in the league as well. So you're going up against an opponent who is, and they're not faltering, right? This isn't that false 12-3 that we saw kind of a little bit later. This seems like a more legit, serious 12-3 under Nick Sirianni, and of course defensively they have the blueprint. They have the blueprint calling it.
We can talk about him.
So it's gonna be an interesting game to play today. The Eagles have way more to lose than the Cowboys, and we're gonna see if they come out with that level of desperation,
which could help the Cowboys in the sense that they might play a little tighter, and the Cowboys can play a little looser. We kind of talked about that in the post-game show last week, where you could tell that this complete team, was playing a lot looser over the last few weeks, especially last week when they went into that Bucs game, underdogs, knowing, hey, playoffs are gone, now let's play Grinch and the spoiler, and we'll see if they can do that this week. And they won't have one CD Lamb, who, if you've been watching this show over the last few weeks, you've kind of been hinting at this potentially happening with CD Lamb securing his goals per se, or hitting his mark, and which is 100 catches, 1,000 yards. He got 6 touchdowns or what have you, but he hit those marks. He became just the second wide receiver in Cowboys history to go 4 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and then shut it down. Which we were all in Cowboys Nation praising him for fighting through this shoulder, but then in the back of our heads we're like, hey, how much more do you want to do to this damage do you want to do to this shoulder when really the season is over and you need to take care of it? Well, Jesse's now going to be taking care of it and getting a jump start on this rehab.
And I don't want to discredit CeeDee Lamb because I do think he proved to a lot of people, because we kind of almost put that diva label on him. He's had a couple instances this season in the last couple of years where he and Dak hadn't kind of been on the same page. He's kind of had the whole Keyshawn, just give me the damn ball type mentality, and you saw the holdout and then the standing off by himself on the sideline. So that diva label was on him a little bit, but I think in the last couple of weeks where the shoulder initially got hurt and you just saw him play through the pain week in and week out. But as someone who's been in the locker room and understand one of the things that guys think about, and they may say that they don't, or they may say that they, guys think about this. It's always about, yes, I would love for the team to have overall success, but within that,
right,
there's a point that I want to make sure that my legacy is also stamped as well. And from a receiver's perspective, it's always that situation of, hey, yeah, I want to keep pace with the Justin Jeffersons and the Jamar Chases of the world, and I want to be a 100-catch guy every single year. Oh, and by the way, I want to be a 1,000-yard receiver, because that's the mark. When you go back and you look at it, when this thing is all said and done, a la Mike Evans, do I have 10, 11, 12 straight years where I was a 1,000-yard receiver? Because that helps when it's time to go to the Hall of Fame. That helps when it's time to go into the Ring of Honor. And it's, like I said, CD, I jokingly talked about it, but I knew, hey, once you get that 100 catch and that 1,000 yards, don't be surprised if CD shut that thing down and go, just I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
Especially because there's not much to again, I don't say this loosely, because there is a lot to play for personally, but from a team standpoint there isn't. And Jerry Jones just talked about that on 105.3 The Fan. He said, quote, "It was just showing signs that the more he played, the worse the injury was getting, which isn't good. If he continued playing, there was risk of surgery." But he said, obviously, if we're sitting out here playing for the Marvels today, he'd be out there. So you knew it was a mark he wanted to hit, right? Like you said, there's a legacy mark he wanted to hit, and then you shut it down. I'm not mad at him for that at all.
I'm not either.
Because you don't want him to have to start with surgery, missing OTAs, potentially mini camp. Now you're getting to training camp. It's like, all right, we got to wrap this CD Lamb back up, and we're right back in that situation where, all right, we're going to get a slow start by CD Lamb again. So I'm okay with this here. Get a jump start on it, and hopefully he's ready to go.
And also another kind of inside thing. Players don't want to
they don't want to stick around.
They don't want to stick around for rehab, guys. I'm just telling y'all this right now. Like, sometimes guys can't avoid it, right? DeMarvion Overshow.
He gotta be here.
Gotta be there. Yeah, no choice. Bone graft surgery for Trayvon Diggs.
He's probably going to have to be here for a little bit.
Gonna have to be here. Like, these type of things are unavoidable. But all the little knick-knack things, I don't want to find myself having to go get surgery, because once they call in the doctor and I gotta go under the knife, that means I have a mandatory. I have to be here in the all season for rehab. And the all season for a lot of these guys, they want to go to Monaco, and they want to go to Serotonin, and they want to go to Greece, and they want to go to all these exotic places. I don't want to have to be hamstrung and handcuffed to the training table because I need to go out there and get rehab. So guys try to avoid surgery, and they try to avoid the big things, where they can kind of do their own rehab on their own until they get back into OTA. So, CeeDee Lamb avoided the surgery situation, and so he'll be able to do some light rehab at the end of the year, and then get on with his offseason.
Some other Cowboys nuggets before the inactives were announced. Cornerback Amani Oruwariye is also put on injured reserve, so he won't be out there today, which is Cowboys cornerback room. We'll talk about it when we talk about the defense, is continuing to take a ton of hits. It's really going to be interesting to see how they handle it today against a team, yes, without Hurst, but they still got a lot of weapons that can get you. So no AO out there today for the cornerback perspective, and they liked him at the cornerback position. We understand what happened in the special teams, but they like how he was playing. Austin Richards has been activated off of injured reserve, so I believe he's going to be out there today as a reserve player. Now Chuma's still there, Tyler Guyton's still there. We'll see if they go that far with Austin Richards, if they have to go that far. Linebacker Darius Smith was signed from the practice squad, and then elevated from the practice squad was cornerback Troy Pride. Again, cornerback situation, so they needed more bodies. And offensive lineman Dakota Shepley, because as we go look at the inactives, TJ Bass is out again with the injury, so Shepley's a guy that might have to get some tick. Matt Willets goes out as well. Princeton Fant out. Tyrus Wheat. Justin Rogers, who they just re-signed back a couple weeks ago. Deuce Vaughn and Keemon Hall round out the inactives, but they'll get back Eric Kendricks, who was out last week. So they'll try to have some of their guys, Maurice Leofold, Eric Kendricks, to stop a Saquon Barkley, who's looking to go after that record.
Can I be petty for just 10 seconds?
Sure.
I know we scream a lot about this whole Trey Lance thing. Ain't nobody screaming for Deuce Vaughn no more.
Nah, man.
Why nobody screaming for?
And I'm the short king. You know what I'm saying? I'm at the top of the list for my short kings.
Why nobody screaming for Deuce Vaughn no more?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the fan base has been divided in reality, like all jokes aside, with him. When he got out there, he wasn't productive, right? Which a lot of the run game wasn't. But he's not. He's a short king. So it's like, if he ain't working out, whatever. But I'm going to be honest with you.
We got to end the Deuce Vaughn experience.
I would have liked to see him over these last, 3 weeks or whatever, these last 2 weeks of the season, because Zeke's not really, you know what I mean? What are you doing with Zeke?
Yeah, I just wanted to be petty for 10 seconds because people. I told people 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I told people 2 years ago. I was like, all right. I'm not saying that nepotism isn't played here, but they might have gave Dad one of those. Thanks for your service, man. We'll give young boy a couple checks.
He was like that.
Yeah, we'll give your young boy. You done some service, some good things for us. We're gonna give a young boy. We'll give your young boy a couple checks.
I will say this though. I do think if he was somewhere else in the offense that knew how to utilize his satellite ability, he'd be a weapon in that sense. Maybe not like a crazy weapon, but not in this offense.
Thanks for making my point. That's why we think we need a new offensive coordinator, coach that can use players in situations.
We are aligned there. You won't get an argument out of me with that one. I've been trying, but I've given up, Jesse, and that's something maybe we can talk about, in the post-game show. But I've given up. I feel like he's returning. I do. We'll see. Speaking of offense, let's talk about this Cowboys offense against still, I think, a good Eagles defense. I know the Washington football people put up 40 damn points damn near last week.
And 5 turnovers. That was crazy.
Won the game with 5 turnovers, but the quarterback also threw for 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true.
Show of hands here. If you think a lambless Cowboys offense with Mike McCarthy as the play caller and Cooper Rush throwing the ball is going to have a 5-touchdown performance.
But here's the thing. You get to see what you've been asking to see for the last couple of weeks. You get to see Spam Mingo.
Maybe
you get to see Spam Mingo.
Maybe they need to put Mingo out there because you trade a fourth, Jesse.
You get to see Spam Mingo. Here's your chance. Right? If now,
this is it.
If not now, then when? If not now, then when?
Man, we said that about Trey Lance.
I'm just saying, if not now, then when? This is a situation where you have nothing to lose. You could go YOLO. You could be the spoiler. We talked about it briefly earlier. You play free. You play wild. If not now, then when are we going to be able to at least get this guy 8 targets, 10 targets in a game and see? Let's just see what he can do.
It has to be today because, look, Cooper Rush over the last few weeks, and rightfully so, it's been Spam Lamb, right? Yeah. We talked about that every halftime or postgame show. It's like, hey, we finished the game, only one other receiver had more than 2 targets because Lamb is going off. And again, rightfully so.
Absolutely.
So
if anybody will catch one of his bad balls, it's going to go. CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's been the one dude to catch his bad balls.
So he hasn't necessarily been hey, we're going to spread it out to 3-4 receivers and they're all getting 4-5 receptions or 5-6 targets. That's not the case, right? And I get it. Backup quarterback, get it to your best players. But your best player's gone, right? So is this going to be a game where he does kind of get it to everybody, or is it going to be a situation where he finds a guy, locks onto that guy, and they get those 8 to 10 targets? I don't think it's going to be Mingo, though, Jesse. I think with Jalen Tolbert still being high in hierarchy, Turpin needs to get his, right? Brandon Cooks.
Jake Ferguson, baby.
Jake Ferguson. I think Jake should be that guy personally to get the 8 to 10 targets in this game and stick around. Underdog Fantasy. We'll talk about it. I feel like Mingo is still going to be a guy, hey, go in there and do the dirty work. We're going to see him blocking. He'll get some random, terrible, bad throw that's almost out to the sideline. But I'm with you. I think this is a game at the very least. See 5 targets or something. You got something.
Yeah, I need to see.
Something.
Let's just see. Let's just go out there and just see what he got.
But I know we talk a lot about these receivers and about Mingo and whatever, but this still got to be a game where, especially without Lamb, hey, Rico, we saw CeeDee Lamb hit his mark. Can Rico hit his mark? Because we know Rico wants that 1,000.
Yeah, 97 yards away.
97 yards away. He's going up against a pretty stout run defense, honestly. One of the better ones. Last week, wasn't great, right? They finally went up against a non-terrible run defense, and it wasn't great. Let's just be real, right? 12 yards, I think it was, on the day. This is a tough front. Jalen Carter is real, right? Jordan Davis, Sweat, Zach Bond's playing good ball. Nakobe Dean's playing good ball. This is a good front. Now, he did have some good moments, though, at the crib a few weeks back against this team. So I'm going to be intrigued to see if they try to get Rico his mark, or is this going to be a game where, forget the mark, Rico, we need you to lean on you without CeeDee Lamb? Could this be a 25-touch-plus game?
You know, and here's the thing. Life is different when the defense breaks the huddle and the offense breaks the huddle, and 88 is somewhere along that line of scrimmage. True. Right? And because now I have to tilt coverage. I want to play sometimes, you know, things a little bit different when you have a full complement of guys and you have arguably the top 2-3 receiver in the league out there. Right? So that changes things a tad bit. When you don't have CeeDee Lamb out there, I don't know who poses another threat that a guy like Vic Fangio will look at and go, we need to add attention over there. Yeah. So now they'll just go, let's just add the guys to the line of scrimmage. So let's focus on making them
really the box,
like really make them one-dimensional. And if Jonathan Mingo, if Brandon Cooks, if Jalen Tolbert beats us, we tip our cap to them and we go on about our business. But what we can't let them do is slow the game down, be able to establish the run, and then play action, and then methodically move the ball down the field and have us playing that game. Let's cut the faucet off. Let's cut the water off to the one positive thing that they have left on the field and say, okay, Cooper Rush, you and as many other people have called, you and the others got to beat us. And if that's the case,
Rush and the Rushettes.
If Rush and the Rushettes, you guys have to beat us, because what we're not going to let you do is run the football effectively and then be able to play action off that.
And one thing Cooper Rush has been able to do throughout this starting, 6 games or whatever it's been, maybe 7 games now, is only 3 interceptions. But the thing that's hurt him most really has been the fumbles. He's had like 9 fumbles, lost I think 3 or 4 of them. But over the last few weeks, no interceptions, right? Or 1 maybe, but it hasn't been that crazy with the interceptions. Now, some of those are dropped, whatever. There was one that last week could have been crazy at the end of the game where we're like, why is Mike McCarthy throwing the ball?
Hit him in the chest.
Hit him right. I mean, that could have changed the complexity of the game. We often talk about the blueprint. We joke around about it with Dak Prescott and Vic Fangio. But when you go look at Vic Fangio against Cooper Rush over the last 2 starts, and you might say, well, Scott, he only played against him a couple weeks ago. You're right, and he threw 45 American football yards in that game over 4 quarters. So, I mean, that's not something for me to get excited about with CeeDee Lamb, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, say that. CeeDee Lamb was out there. CeeDee Lamb is not out there. He threw 45 yards. But, all right. But we go back to 2022 after a 4-game win streak, and everybody's like, Cooper Rush is the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's better than Dak Prescott. He went out there on the road in Philly. Guess who was the defensive consultant in the defense they were running that year? Vic Fangio. And he threw 3 interceptions in that game. In 2 games, he has 1 tutty and 4 turnovers against him in his 0-2. So if you think Dak has had his struggles against Vic, which Dak actually led a game-winning touchdown drive against Miami last year, it was the defense that blew it. Cooper Rush is looking for revenge against a Vic Fangio this week. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it against a team who's probably pissed off, right? Yeah. Last week, seeing Jaden Daniels. You can say, Scott, with Jaden Daniels, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Jaden Daniels and Cooper Rush are not the same player.
No.
Okay? No. So that's why I said raise of hands if you think this quarterback can throw for 5 tutties against Vic Fangio in that defense. I don't see it. That's why I circle back to this has to be a Rico Dowdle and maybe even Ezekiel. They gotta hand this ball off a lot. Now I said that last week, right? Where I was like, hey, this might be a game where they gotta run it 40 times. They tried, and they could not run. Yeah. And to Rush's credit, in that first half, they were great. The second half, they were not. Yeah. Right? So we need that first half if they're not going to be able to run this ball. I just don't. Vic Fangio's coverage is really good. Their young corners are playing really good. The secondary is tied to a string. If he can go out there without CeeDee Lamb and put on a good performance, that will say a whole lot to me about Rush moving forward.
Yeah, and one thing that we talked about in that game last week, and I don't know how many times we've said this about Mike McCarthy being able to carry the bags.
Mike's going to have to help him out.
You know what I'm saying? Like, carry the bags from half to half, from game to game. The one thing that worked so well for the Cowboys in this offense was the way that he got the ball out quick. I mean, it was death by 1,000 cuts. 5, 6, 4, 3, 5, 6, 8, 7, all the way down the field, and it was efficient, it was effective, and they were moving that thing left and right all the way down the field. And so, you know, and they got away from that in the second half. I think the Cowboys, that's another plan. If they're going to do anything of that caliber today and being able to have some effectiveness in the passing game, you can't think, of course, with that defensive line up front, that you're going to be able to drop back and take a lot of deep shots, but just go ahead and nickel and dime them all the way down the field and hope that these guys can break some tackles and make some plays. But limit Rush's ability to put himself in danger, put the ball in the offense in danger. That's what Mike has to have the mindset of. And then when we get to third down, now if it's 3rd and 4, it's 3rd and 3, now I'm opened up to do whatever I want. I can run the ball, I can pass the ball, I can screen it, I can roll out, I can do a multitude of things. But if you find yourself running into a brick wall on first down, and now it's 2nd and 10, and now you're in the short passing game, and now you get 4 yards, 3 yards, now it's 3rd and 7, the percentages say
we don't want to live there.
You're right. The percentages say that you're going to find yourself in a losing situation. So I think even on those earlier downs, if we're doing the long handoffs, right, the smoke routes, the hitchers, the tunnel screens, the wide options, the rollouts with the tight end and the fullback and the running back, and just layered it out. Now he can throw the ball out to the flat and he can turn and get what he can get, so that when we get to third down, that it's a much more manageable third down than having to play longer distance to the sticks and finding yourself in putting the football in dangerous situations.
Once again, that first 15 is going to be important. We kind of briefly talked about that last week, where on the other side of the field, Liam Cohen was one of the better ones, and Zim won that matchup. On the flip side, I thought Mike McCarthy first 15 was pretty impressive.
Yes.
He's going to need to be impressive in this one, because if he can get some momentum, and then you can get some confidence with Rush. Because I think what happened in that Eagles game was the first start, his confidence was shook.
Yeah.
I mean, he there was nothing he could do against the defense, right? So, and then you had the situation where you get the ball at the 2-yard line and can't score a touchdown, right? So that you need to get some confidence going for this Lamb-less offense, which is going to be tough, to be honest with you. We haven't seen it. The last time we've seen them not have CD Lamb was like 21, maybe 22, right, against the Raiders, I think it was, right? I don't think Lamb has missed games.
No.
Lamb has been available. It's time for our fantasy pick'em entry, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy Sports. Use your projections to win real cash by playing the #1 fantasy sport platform, Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code ATOZDALLAS. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go on and sign up right now, make sure you use this. They'll match a deposit up to $1,000. Let's stay on the Cowboys offense side of the ball. We're talking about Cooper Rush. Higher or lower than 187.5 passing yards. I went with lower. He threw for 45 yards last time at home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and now without CeeDee Lamb, how can I have confidence that he's going to go out there and throw for? Now this isn't a lot of yards, so 187 is not a lot of yards. He could do that trying to play catch up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't think this is as easy, but I went with lower.
Yeah, lower sounds like when you look at 45 yards and what Philadelphia, who's probably primarily led by their defense, is playing for, they want to try to pitch a shutout.
Right.
They want to get after the quarterback and try to pitch a shutout and really try to make this thing. Just an ugly game.
Another thing too is if they do lean on a ground game, he may not need to throw 400. Not saying that they'll win doing it, but maybe they say we don't want him to throw 40 times in this game, so we got to run a whole lot, and that limits his attempts to get it. So I think this is the toughest one because he could easily throw for 210. It's not a great day, but it's more than 187. Jake Ferguson, they've been playing with my Jake Ferguson tickets, bro. It's been pissing me off, but it was like 5 yards away the other week.
Higher, less than that. It was like 3.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like 3 or 2
it was
yards.
crazy. Higher, lower than 39.5 receiving yards. This was done, I think, on Saturday. So I think that went up to like 41. But I had 39.5. How can it not be higher? There's no CeeDee Lamb. They're going to have to spam Ferg. How can this not be, bro?
I'm with you.
Come on.
I think Ferg is right there in front of him. I think they're going to do a lot of booting out, a lot of rolling out, getting the ball out quick, and Ferg is the one guy who gives you. Yeah, Ferg is the one guy who gives you. I guess in the short yardage, the ability to be a target, to be a big target, to be reliable in that, and then make plays down the field. So I'll go with you on higher on that one.
Higher, man. And then on the other side of the ball, Saquon Barkley, who's 268 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record, which I love the attention getting to it. They say, "Hey, Eric Dickerson, you excited for me?" He said, "Hell no, I don't want him to break that." I respect them keeping it to be. No, I want that record. What you talking about? But I got hired. 112.5 yards. I went higher. Again, not easy because the Cowboys' rush defense has been better. But no Jalen Hurts. We laughed at Kellen Moore last time they played. Like, why are you not running the ball with this man? I can't see them being at the crib with the record in sight. Yeah. Them saying, nah, even if it's 112, 13 rush yards on 35 carries, which is not great, I feel like he getting there.
With them having the ability to really lock down first place and home field advantage this week, because if they win, and I think if Washington loses today, they get it. I think because they'll rest them next week, so I think it's gonna be an assertive effort.
You know what? He will be the one that say, "All right, I'll rest." Yeah, because if he's like 100 yards away,
I think there will be an assertive effort to at least get a large portion of that 268 today. And Kellen has to go back and self-scout and watch himself and go, he only had 60-something yards last time he played. I did him I did him a disservice. So it's going to be a lot. This might be a game where Saquon can walk out of here with 175, 185.
He liable to break one.
Oh, he's liable to break one for sure.
Yeah, I got higher, man.
Yeah, higher.
Again, even if it's only like $1.15, I feel like they're going to spoon feed him because they have to.
Can I ask you maybe a personal question on air?
Sure.
Do you want to see him get it?
No. I'm not a Penn State fan. I hate the Eagles. I want to see him get a negative 112 rush yards today.
That's honest.
So absolutely not.
That's honest.
No, bro. I hate Philly.
Okay. That's honest. That's honest.
I can give a damn.
That's honest. That's honest.
No. And even if it was like when, who was it? Was it Barry? No, not Barry. Barry was approaching it right. Somebody was getting close. Frank Gore, maybe. Adrian Peterson, when they're getting close to breaking Emmett's. No, I don't want to see it happen. And I like those because it's Emmett. It's the Cowboys. I never want to see that happen. So at the end of the day, I don't got my button, but that's Philly. Yeah. Okay? So, I don't got my button. Only reason why I ain't, But that's our game day pick 'em, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy Sports. Pick 'em, watch 'em, or pick 'em, play 'em, watch 'em. Let's quickly just kind of give you what's happening on the other side of the ball for the Cowboys. We talked about it. Their cornerback situation is dire. No Deron Bland. I'm sorry. No Diggs. No Kalen Carson. No Ayo. No Butler. They are down to scrap heap over there. Hey, how's it going? And I think they're rolling out Booth. But I would like for them to use Israel McQuamu, but that's where we're at out there. It's going to be tough because we saw A.J. Brown baptize Carson last time they played. So we'll see how that goes there. Quick thoughts on the cornerback situation.
Yeah, I'll say this. They still have Deron Bland. They still have Jordan Lewis. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, maybe.
And they still got Zim.
Maybe, I was about to say, maybe Zim gets in the lab and he goes, all right, J. Lou, you want to earn your keep this week? You got Devontae Smith, Deron Bland, you got A.J. Brown. Let's play ball. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm speculating. I don't know. But that's the one thing that kind of gives you a little bit of hope with it, because you still have those two guys out there. If you have to match man for man to go out there, maybe that works for a little bit. But whoever's on the opposite side, and that's a mouse in the house situation.
And you still got a guy we haven't brought up this whole entire time, and Micah Parsons in the front seven to help you out. So, and he's been on tear. Him and Osa have been on the tear, and they played well against Philly in the first half last time.
Just don't put Micah on the other side. Keep him on the keep him on the left side. Let him battle Jordan Mailata, because it usually doesn't work well.
Beat lately.
Him and Lane.
He got Lane. He got Lane last year. I mean, I don't remember this past this past game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to put him on the best of the best. Yeah. I agree. Move him around. Move him around. Move him around. But one good thing about the situation is it's Kenny Pickett in that pocket. It's not Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
So, you know, Micah has a very good counter where, all right, you might have me here, but I'm quick enough to where I can shoot inside and get to the. But you're right. I don't want to see 75 matchups between Micah and Lane Johnson. No, go put him around and let him fire up front, twist stunts, get Osa involved, blitz. You got Eric Kendricks back. That's the other thing. With Kendricks there, he kind of got baptized last time too by Saquon Barkley. Put him on skates. That was crazy. But with Micah back, I do think this pass rush has been one of the best in the league.
Yes,
they led the league in sacks. They led the league in pressure. So that'll be a matchup to watch. That front seven against an improved, if you will, Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, if you can say they improved. But we got kickoff here in the next minute. Cowboys Nation, make sure y'all come back. Halftime, we'll talk about what we've seen in the first half. This has been Cowboy Game Day Live, the pregame show.